My name is Galan Ben-Oni, and I'm Chief Security Officer and Senior Vice President of Architecture for IDT Corporation. So IDT began as a traditional telecom carrier many years ago. We actually branched out into a number of additional vertical markets, including banking, finance, and energy. We had one particular type of attack vector, and I think by entering into these two other business units, we largely became targeted considerably more than an average organization may be. Our security architecture largely needed some next-generation software on the endpoint. The key differentiator with Palo Alto Traps is its ability to automate the process of protecting the endpoint. Most of the other products today in the industry largely deal with informing us that there's a problem. Detecting a problem, reporting the problem. That leaves us to manually deal with the effort of remediating the endpoint. For us, we largely try to take care of manual remediation within 30 minutes, but it is not uncommon for a problem like this to persist in an organization for hours or even days. It became important to implement next-generation software on the endpoint as well, because many of our endpoints are mobile. Which means that they may not always be operating within the confines of our network infrastructure. So we needed a way to provide a blanket of protection around them, irrespective of where they may be. And we began with introducing it into an organization within our environment that was particularly vulnerable, namely that organization that deals with consumer financial information. The test went phenomenally well. We were, within a day, able to introduce the software solution across the entire environment. Most of the other solutions are very heavy on the endpoint. They can take a lot of memory, they can take CPU usage. And we were pleasantly surprised to find that the introduction of Traps in our environment almost had no impact at all on the endpoint. It's very lightweight. Takes very little memory and almost no CPU. From a day-to-day perspective, it's relatively quiet. There's really not too much that we need to do other than to keep an eye on why our endpoints may be targeted. We're spending a lot less time dealing with the remediation of the system, and we're able to spend more time trying to determine why a particular user or a particular asset may have been targeted within the organization, which is really what we'd prefer to be doing. Patch management is a sore point for many organizations, largely because they need to introduce a patch immediately after a serious software vulnerability has been announced. And for some organizations, that process can take 60 days, even 120 days, because they've got to test the patch to determine whether or not it potentially could impact anything that they may be doing in production. With the implementation of Traps, we have more breathing space because we're protected largely from many of the exploitations and many of the capabilities of the malware without even needing to introduce the patch. The effectiveness of the security solution on the endpoint has proven itself. The introduction of the software into our organization was easy because it didn't impact or influence the way we do our normal day-to-day business. It was clearly a win. So I have only good things to say about the implementation process, about the quality of the product, and I do in fact echo that to my peers in the industry.